order to obtain optimal health while improving your metabolism and losing fat, it's important to eat a healthy amount of proteins, carbohydrates, fibers, and fats. TLS Weight Loss Solution doesn't restrict food groups, and depending on the TLS program you're on, you're eating varieties of foods from these important food groups. Carbohydrates are often touted as the feared food in fad diets. The reality is that carbohydrates are your body's main source of energy. They dictate how full you are, how much energy you have, and how mentally alert you are. So the question you may be asking is, are carbohydrates good or bad for me? Well, the answer is both. Luckily, it's easy to separate the good from the bad. The good types are plant foods that deliver fiber and nutrients to your body. These are foods such as whole grains, beans, fruits, and vegetables. The bad types typically are processed grains such as white bread or other grains or starches that contain little fiber and nutrients. There's a lot of confusion out there concerning the role of grains in weight loss. Some say they can be easily included, others say you should swear them off forever. To clear this up, we're going to start from the beginning. Getting the fuel your body needs from carbohydrates in the form of fruits and vegetables is recommended on TLS. You will not only feel full, but will reap the benefits of all the phytonutrients they contain. Grain products can be designated into 3 different types: whole grains, refined grains, and enriched grains. Whole grains like steel-cut oats contain the entire grain kernel, while refined grains such as white rice and white bread have been processed, which removes the bran and germ. The refinement process gives these foods a finer texture and prolongs their shelf life. It also removes important nutrients such as B vitamins, fiber, and iron, and increases the glycemic index as well. You can tell if a grain has been refined because the label will say it has been cracked, crushed, rolled, extruded, and/or cooked. Enriched means that some of the nutrients were lost during the processing and were added back in. Typically, you will see the B vitamins were added back in, but unfortunately, the fiber that was lost from the process wasn't added back in. Foods that are made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, or any other cereal grain are grain products. Grain products are foods like breads, pasta, oatmeal, breakfast cereals, certain alcohols, and tortillas. When selecting grains, it's important to remember the whole grains are preferable to refined or enriched grains. While whole grains are far more nutritious and wholesome than refined or enriched grains, they supply more vitamins, E, B, and folic acid than refined or enriched grains, as well as important minerals such as magnesium, zinc, and iron. Whole grains are also fiber-rich, lowering the glycemic index and making you feel fuller throughout the day. It can be tricky going to the grocery store and looking to find quality whole grains. A food is not made with whole grains if it is labeled with the words multigrain, 100% wheat, 7-grain, stone ground, bran, or cracker wheat. Also, you should remember that just because a grain is a whole grain does not always mean it's best for your weight loss goals. So, can whole grains impair your weight loss goals? The answer is yes. Some people have issues with grains, even the quality ones. Let's talk about some factors that you may experience. Grain sensitivity, also called carb sensitivity, is when you have an excess of insulin and glucose in the body. If you've yo-yo dieted, you're more than likely to have grain sensitivity. This means your body does not respond and break down grains, even the quality grains such as whole grain breads, pastas, and even starches like potatoes and beans. What are the signs? You retain water easily, especially around the midsection. Your fingers and feet swell. You have the feeling of being bloated after you've eaten carbs. You feel fatigued after eating a meal containing grains or starches. Here's an easy way to find out if you're grain sensitive. Measure your waist, then go on a complete 3 days, 72 hours straight, only consuming lean proteins and vegetables, a majority of which should be green. After 72 hours, measure your waist again. If you see a reduction, it's pretty safe to say you're grain sensitive. While this is not 100% foolproof, it's a good indicator that carbs may not be your best friend. Gluten sensitivity is becoming more common. Gluten-sensitive individuals often struggle to get the full nutritional benefit of the foods they eat, and their immune systems may be weakened by foods containing gluten. Suboptimal health and illness can follow, with a myriad of possible symptoms: fatigue, depression, abdominal and bowel complaints, joint aches, and bone pain, are some of the more common symptoms associated with gluten sensitivity. At the other end of the spectrum, gluten sensitivity has been linked to gluten intolerance, but don't confuse this with celiac disease, a medical condition in which the absorptive surface of the small intestine is damaged. Wheat intolerance is not usually as violent or acute as a wheat allergy and can be a lot harder to diagnose because the symptoms may manifest many hours after the consumption of wheat, even up to a couple of days later. Though poorly understood, it is still an immune-related response, but one which affects a totally different part of the immune system, and the symptoms being similar to ones just mentioned with grain and gluten sensitivity. Whether you are following the Rapid Results menu plan or just prefer to be grain-free, you may eventually decide to add grains back into your diet. When you choose to start incorporating grains back in, consider introducing only gluten-free, wheat-free grains like quinoa. Be sure to journal. Journal what you feel right after, later in the next 24 to 48 hours. Then you can try gluten grains such as barley and rye without wheat, and then lastly introduce wheat products. Each introduction may take 1 to 2 weeks before moving on to the next part. You can retrain your body through healthy eating habits using your TLS Core supplement and an exercise program to help your body metabolize grains more efficiently. When eating carbohydrates such as fruits, vegetables, or whole grains, you are consuming fiber as well. The average person consumes less than 10 grams of fiber daily, while the recommended amount is 25 to 35 grams daily. Fiber isn't digested, isn't used for energy, and isn't absorbed into your bloodstream. So you may be wondering, what is it used for? Fiber makes you feel full, but it's also beneficial to your digestive tract. Since most fiber is left intact, it creates bulk, which helps in moving stool and harmful carcinogens out of your body. Without fiber, you may feel constipated, sluggish, and can increase your risk of colon cancer. Proteins are important for your metabolism and building muscle mass and play many roles in your body. Your body has trillions of cells, which make up your muscles, organs, skin, and bones, and each of these cells require protein in order to perform at its best. Proteins are also important for recovery after a workout or injury and illness. Did you know that antibodies are proteins that help protect your body from disease and illness? Without proteins, your blood sugars will drop. You will feel tired, you will be malnourished, and your metabolism would be affected, making it hard to reach your weight loss goals. Proteins coupled with fiber help you feel full longer and allows you to burn more calories. A complete protein is a protein source that has all of the essential amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. You may hear these sources called high-quality proteins. Animal-based foods such as meat, poultry, fish, milk, and cheese are considered complete protein sources. Other sources of proteins are called complementary proteins. These proteins are not complete forms of protein, but still contain some of the nutrient. Nuts, beans, or tofu are types of proteins. This is why you will hear TLS coaches say protein and fiber with every meal makes losing weight no big deal. We understand it's unrealistic to consume complete proteins like chicken or fish every time you eat. So if you're preparing proteins like nuts or beans with fiber, you are eating to fuel your body and burn fat. Most people do not consume enough protein in their diet. Eating the right amount of protein will help you reach your weight loss goals, will keep you healthy, and will help preserve your muscle. A 12-week study showed that dieters who increased their protein to 30% of their diet lost 11 pounds more than diets that didn't consume more protein. So remember this next time you just pick up an apple for a snack. Be sure to pair it with a protein. Lastly, we will discuss fats. Total fat listed on a food label is made up of saturated, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and trans fat. Saturated fats are fats that are solid at room temperature. We do not count calories with TLS, but saturated fats should be 25% or less of the total calories of the food you consume. Some examples of saturated fat include butter, coconut oil, and lard, meats, dairy products, and processed foods. Coconut oil and red meat are okay to consume on occasion, but they're still considered a saturated fat. You can consume saturated fats on TLS. After all, you have been eating dairy products and meats. People who follow a vegetarian diet may not get saturated fats from meats or dairy, so they may use coconut oil more often. Remember, you probably didn't become overweight because you were consuming too much coconut oil. Processed foods are typically the culprit behind people eating a diet high in saturated fat. Unsaturated fats are liquid at room temperature and are broken down into polyunsaturated and monounsaturated categories on your food label. Polyunsaturated fats are good fats found in oily fish, grain products, and soybeans. There are two polyunsaturated fats that are constantly in the news headlines. Those are omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are those found in fish and seafood and have been touted as having significant health benefits. Omega-6 fatty acids are found in sunflower and safflower oil and have been found to have cardiovascular benefits when consumed in a proper ratio with omega-3s. TLS-CLA helps preserve your muscle while promoting body fat loss. You can read more about both of these products on TLSslim.com. Monounsaturated fats are the best fats of all and have numerous health benefits. These are typically the good fats you are eating on your TLS program. These fats are found in foods like salmon, avocado, olive oil, nuts, and seeds. Trans fats are very unhealthy and should be avoided completely from your diet. Trans fats are often listed on the labels as hydrogenated oils or partially hydrogenated oils. Food manufacturers will convert a liquid fat into a solid fat by adding hydrogens or hydrogenating the fat. Trans fats are found in many processed foods and are added to keep foods moist and to maintain their form as they sit on the shelves in the stores. They have negative health effects such as lowering your good cholesterol and contributing to heart disease and cardiovascular problems. If you are looking at labels as you were taught during the Reading Labels video, you most likely are consuming the right amounts of fats for optimal health. Just remember to consume 5 grams of fat or less, except the good fats. Your TLS Health Guide has more information on nutrition as well as a detailed list of fats. Don't forget to refer to your TLS menu plan for additional proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. With TLS Weight Loss Solution, knowledge is power. You are what you eat, and you will no longer be overfed and undernourished.